So you've seen a little bit of this in the last segment where they bundled it together, just like State Farm, right? Or Progressive, or whatever it is that you have your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance. I know I'm a bundler. Right? You know how they say that you can get it cheaper if you bundle it together? Yeah, I used to be a Progressive customer. Now I switched over to State Farm with Jake from State Farm. Really, I switched over to State Farm because I like the guy that was cheating on Savannah and waiting to exhale. You know, the other State Farm guy. Neither here nor there. But they say that you can bundle things together, and it's much cheaper, and it's easier for you to do so. So all of my cars is on my new insurance, and this is not an advertisement. State Farm, send me my money. All of my cars, give me a pitch package together for State Farm. They need to send me some money. All of my cars is on State Farm. My home, State Farm. Rental properties, State Farm. Everything is State Farm. I'm not even sure if I got rental insurance for this place, my business, and State Farm. But they say that you can bundle, right? Now, what is Anton talking about? Why is he talking about bundling? Well, the reason why I'm talking about bundling is because that's exactly what in all of these bipartisan bills that they wind up sitting on Biden's desk that he advocate for, that they do to you. They do it to you. What do you mean, Anton? Well, when you got the infrastructure deal, there was a whole lot of stuff in there that you wasn't familiar with. They just gave you the highlights. They didn't tell you all of the money was really going to, okay? When you got these CHIPS Act, there's a whole lot of stuff in there that you didn't read, but all you was focused on was the abortion and Supreme Court and stuff that we can control anyway. And so that's what you was focused on. You wasn't focused on reading all of the details inside of the CHIPS Act, right? And it's the same thing when it came to the foreign aid bill. A part of what they passed as far as TikTok being banned was a part of this foreign aid bill. It wasn't just for foreign aid. It wasn't just the $20-something billion that they were sending over to Israel. It wasn't for the $60-something billion, $68 billion or whatever that they sending over to Ukraine. It wasn't for the $8 billion that they sent over to Taiwan. It's also the TikTok ban and so many other things that's a part of this bill. And when they pass this stuff, it's important for us to have a conversation about it because you guys are ignorant. Ignorant not meaning that you're stupid. Ignorant meaning that you don't know any better because you didn't read it. And because we're willing to read the lyrics of Drake versus Meek Mill or Drake versus Kendrick Lamar or the Avengers in Future, and we want to understand we can quote every single word. If Metro don't shoot you, I'm going to shoot you. Yeah. Metro! We know all of the control verses and whether or not J. Cole is going to resign and he pulled out, but we don't know nothing about the things that's going to impact us, our families, and what is being passed. Somebody in the chat, they said, Anton, the American people don't get a chance to participate in these bills that's being passed? Absolutely you do. They told you what they were going to do when they were campaigning for your vote. When you have these legislators and these senators and these Congress members and these House of Representatives and the President of the United States, because there's layers within the government to prevent any one part having complete control of what happens in your life. When you vote for these people, when you say that you don't have a vote and you vote for them, you basically giving them permission to determine what happens as far as how these bills are passed. So when they come and they campaign for your vote, which what they know that in the black community, they don't have to stand on anything except for saying, hey, man, we got some chicken and waffles for you. They don't have to pitch you nothing because you don't stand for nothing and they know how you going to vote already. It's one of the reasons why it's so dangerous for keeping a state red or keeping a state blue. Is because if they know that they already got your vote, they only go over to the swing states in order to promise them and their governors something for nothing. Why you think that Biden was over there in Michigan when they was doing the UAW strike? In order to get the UAW members and Sean Vane's endorsement. Why you think they only visit the swing states? Why you think they up and down Florida? Why you think they over in Michigan? They don't have to stop over to Chicago because they know what Chicago is. Trump ain't going over there to campaign or ask for y'all vote, or no Democrat or Biden himself is not going to go over there and to hold a rally over in California. You know why? Because there's nothing for you to ask for. They already know that you're going to give it to them. So why would they campaign and ask for your vote in a state that they already know that they got your support in? They don't have to give you anything. And more importantly, they don't have to add anything in a bill that's going to benefit you. Why? Because you're not going to read it anyway. You've already given them permission to speak on your behalf. This is why it's called a democracy. Your participation in it and your opportunity to vet for what they stood for as a collective and as a group happened when they decided to campaign for election, not when they decided to pass these bipartisan bills on your behalf. You don't believe me? All right. Let me bring you up to date of what's going on in these streets.
Breaking news in D.C. In the last hour, the Senate signed off on that massive foreign aid package, which includes billions for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan.
Well, it now goes to President Biden's desk. Fox 8's Sharon Crowley is live in the newsroom with how the vote unfolded. Sharon.
Asha and Steve, President Biden has vowed to sign it and get that much needed aid to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan. The Senate majority and minority leaders in agreement tonight. They want to send a powerful message to enemies and allies. The message: the U.S. will support peace and democracy around the globe.
America sends a message to the entire world. We will not turn our back on you. Tonight we tell our allies, we stand with you. We tell our adversaries, don't mess with us.
Senate Democrats and Republicans agreeing to move forward with a foreign aid package recently passed in the House.
You know, it's not every day you can say you made the world truly a better place.
It would give $95 billion to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan.
Y'all don't even talk about Taiwan. You notice how Taiwan is never, ever, 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 ever in the conversation? What else is this foreign aid bill and package a part of? Because you got to remember, the reason why they say foreign aid and a bill, and the reason why TikTok is included in it, is because they're taking into consideration the security concerns that come along with TikTok still being a Chinese company and not an American company. That's the finesse. So now what they said was, we need to address security concerns because this impacts our foreign intelligence and aid and government and security. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add this as a part of the foreign aid bill in the package in order to address this issue. Otherwise, we would have to address it separately and attach it to something else and be able to justify why we're calling it or attaching it to it or labeling this a part of the foreign aid package, right? So now they can say, well, this is a security concern. So what we're going to do is we're going to address this while we're addressing Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. How many of y'all knew that they was even taking this up inside of the House? How many people, the content creators that depend on the platform in order to get the visibility and the money that they got, how many of them actually understood that TikTok was being taken up as a part of the foreign aid bill? None of them. You know why? Because they so busy being distracted by protests at Columbia. They busy being distracted by the blackity-black conversation. Supreme Court is taking up unhoused and criminalizing the homeless. And we have to make sure that we listen to Kamala Harris talk about how we need to fight for abortion. Meanwhile, they passing bills on your behalf and they're not even taking you into consideration. Why? Because it's not a thing. It's not a thing. $98 billion of your money. This ain't they money. It's your money. It's your tax dollars. It's your money.
Including a measure requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the social media platform or be banned in the U.S. The progress coming after months of debate about just how involved the U.S. should be abroad. The agreement displaying a rare moment of bipartisanship among Senate leaders.
Y'all do realize that this man on the right, he the one that was having freezes, right? He was in the middle of a speech 2 times. Had to reset his chip, his Neuralink chip inside of his head. Look at the people that's representing Americans in your best interests. They can't even keep their mouths open. You know, My grandparents, once they get past a certain age, we just want to make sure that they're comfortable and they can do what they want to do. We not having them making decisions on the family. They supposed to already have put that into us. Now they're dependent on us in order to ensure that we taking care of them. Look, bro. He literally was like, we don't even know if this guy got a chip inside of him, if he the Manchurian candidate or not. And they're making decisions on what's best for y'all. You gotta love America, boy. We just vote based off of popularity. This ain't nothing but high school. All the way into the time we stop growing in high school. Once you get to high school, that's it. We just become more of what we already are in high school. Popularity contest, yep. Politics, yep. Social media, yep. Every single thing that we do in our lives, yep. Our family. If you ever go to a high school reunion, I went to one high school reunion. I went to my 10th year high school reunion. I said, all right, cool, that's enough. This ain't no different than it already was. We already know exactly what it is. Same old, same old.
America stepped up, and the Senate held firm.
Mitch McConnell was over there short-circuiting. Y'all don't remember Mitch short-circuiting? Hold on. Give me a second. I remember Mitch short-circuiting. I remember Mitch. You're not going to sit here and trick me and act like I don't know what's going on. I know who y'all are. I don't know how they fixed them. No clue whatsoever. See, they think I forgot.
After finishing the NDA this week, has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Go back.
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it back. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
I remember. I'm telling you, but go ahead, Mitch. Tell us what we need to do about TikTok, foreign aid, Ukraine, the whole 9 yards. Give it to us.
America stepped up, and the Senate held firm. It's time to reaffirm some basic truths. Alliances matter.
It was so difficult.
This ain't weird to y'all. Y'all don't just be like, damn, like what the heck is happening inside of the United States of America? Gosh, life is so weird. Y'all don't be thinking like, dang, Mitch is the same person that, helped pass a bill that is determining the fate of the future of the world. He can't even keep his mouth closed or open it up or answer a question of whether or not he gonna be all right. Come on, man.
To get to this point that it may even cost the Republican Speaker of the House his job because he worked with Democrats to push it forward. Conservative House Republicans objecting. They say the package does not include money for America's border crisis. Some liberal Senate Democrats also oppose giving more money to Israel's war against Hamas, while so many civilians are being killed in Gaza.
Netanyahu's extremist government has ignored urgent calls from the president and others to alter their military approach and to end this humanitarian disaster.
I want y'all to know that they just quickly address the fact that, hey, we ain't going to address the border crisis. We're not closing off the borders. Texas, you on your own. Arizona, you good. California, you straight. Florida, you straight. Don't worry about it. We're going to send $98 billion over to make sure that we take care of Taiwan, Ukraine, Israel. Those are the priorities. Sudan, don't worry about it. Border crisis, we good. Eric Daniels said, Anton, we need our allies. Are you saying that the bill shouldn't have been passed? I'm saying that we have some basic fundamentals that we had to solve for, or that we need to solve for, also here in the United States of America, but we're not having that conversation at all. At all. At all. Not at all. Two things can be true at the same time.
We want to bring in senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez. Gabe, you were listening to this at the same time we were. What stood out to you? What are some of the highlights in his messaging on Israel as well?
Hi there, Vicki. Good morning. Well, yes, as you mentioned, the president taking a victory lap of sorts and, saying that this was, quote, a good day for world peace. That's how he started this remarks. And this comes after intense negotiations over the past few months, Vicki. And, we're learning a little bit more about those behind the scenes negotiations where the Biden administration was deeply involved with congressional leaders trying to get this over the finish line. Now, it was back in October, Vicki, that the president delivered that prime-time address here at the White House, really making the case for a national security package. Well, it took several months, but finally, this is the result. And we're learning that he really reached out to Speaker Mike Johnson over the last few weeks and even directed his team not to antagonize Speaker Johnson. And one point that I did notice, Vicki, the president also brought up the issue of this package not including border security. Of course, you'll recall that in the first supplemental aid request that the Biden administration put forward, there was a request for border security. There was even a bipartisan border security bill that made it past the Senate, but the House was dead set against it, and former President Trump tanked it, essentially, by urging Republicans to vote against it. I found it interesting that President Biden really didn't go after Republicans much. He really, in these remarks, thanked Speaker Johnson for getting what he was able to over the finish line. And of course, he made the case once again to the American people of just how important this equipment, this humanitarian aid, and these munitions are to Ukraine, but also to Israel. One thing that did not come up in these remarks, Vicki, you alluded to it, the provision that would require the sale of TikTok within the next 9 months to a year. The president did not mention that. We heard some of the questions that were asked to him from reporters. That question's certain to come up. But as you just heard, the president walked away without answering any more questions. He's now heading to a union event here in Washington where he's expected to pick up an endorsement, Vicki.
But he's headed to a union event. Listen, y'all, this is y'all president. And he's headed to he won't even speak on the issues that's the most meaningful to the American people. But he's headed to a union event where he's expected to pick up an endorsement. Vicki, now back to you guys back at the studio. Jesus Christ.